Hello everyone, you're watching News Mongolia, where we bring you the latest stories and updates from across the nation and beyond. I'm Batsir Namshar. Our top stories for News Mongolia. The Darkhang metallurgical plant is set to boost its exports. Mongolia records growth in foreign trade turnover. Steady decline in Mongolia's inflation rate. For the news, stay tuned. The first trading of Darkhang metallurgical plant iron ore concentrates on the stock exchange commenced on September 15th at the Mongolian Stock Exchange, with a total of 13 trades organized by November 1st. The Darkhang metallurgical plant LLC entered into a memorandum of cooperation with Tolgoi Railway LLC to enhance its export activities.
The successful trade on the Mongolian Stock Exchange involved 81,600 tons of iron ore concentrate, which generated $6.5 million, marking a 15 to 23% increase from the initial asking price. The primary challenge faced by the plant is transportation, prompting the management team to intensify collaboration with companies such as Mongolian Railway, Tolgoi Railway, and Ulaanbaatar Railway. In this regard, a memorandum of cooperation was recently signed with the Tolgoi Railway Company.
I emphasized the pressing issue of transportation logistics, highlighting ongoing collaboration with Ulaanbaatar Railway and the recent memorandum of cooperation with Tolgoi Railway. Discussions are underway regarding the potential rental of 2 to 3 trains and collaboration on locomotives arriving at Tolgoi Railway LLC. I shared insights into the cooperation with the state-owned companies like the Darkhang Metallurgical Plant and Cementcam Stone LLC in organizing the transportation of mining products. Importantly, 16 locomotives are expected to be imported from America shortly, signaling the establishment of a significant transport company in Mongolia.
Darkhang metallurgical plant's production figures from April 2022 to October 2023, following the state's ownership regain, include the production of 47,000 tons of steel products and the sale of approximately 43,000 tons. In the mining industry, 2 million tons of iron ore concentrate were produced, with around 584.5 thousand tons were exported, generating an income of 109.7 billion MNT. For the first 9 months of 2023, the plant is operating with a net profit of 23.5 billion MNT.
Mongolia's foreign trade has exhibited significant growth in the first 10 months of 2023, marking a promising economic trend. According to data released by the Mongolian Customs General Administration, the total foreign trade turnover for this period reached $20 billion, showing an increase of $2.9 billion or 16.9% when compared to the same period in 2022.
A noteworthy development during this period is Mongolia's positive trade balance. The value of exports exceeded that of imports by $4,914.4 million, indicating a robust performance in the country's export sector, contributing to overall economic stability. The data analysis of Mongolia's foreign trade performance for the first 10 months of 2023 was based on a substantial dataset. It included 525,662 export customs declarations and 251,641 import customs declarations, along with data from various other sources, providing a comprehensive overview of Mongolia's foreign trade landscape. Mongolia also introduced temporary ports during the reporting period to facilitate foreign trade. These temporary ports played a vital role in increasing trade volume, with 27,408 export declarations and 1,092 import declarations processed through them. This strategic move is part of the government's effort to enhance trade efficiency and accessibility. The positive foreign trade performance reflects Mongolia's growing economic strength and its dedication to fostering a conducive trade environment. The positive trade balance underscores the country's ability to meet global market demands, and the use of temporary ports signifies Mongolia's intention to explore new avenues for trade growth. The robust foreign trade figures are anticipated to have a positive impact on Mongolia's economic stability and growth potential. As the nation continues to excel in the foreign trade, it positions itself as an increasingly influential player on the global economic landscape.
The National Statistics Office of Mongolia has released the latest data on the country's inflation rate for October 2023, showing a notable decline in inflation compared to the same period a year ago. In October, the inflation rate dropped to 9%, marking a significant reduction from 9.4% in July 2023. This recent figure of 9% is on par with the inflation rate observed in August 2021, signifying a stabilization of price levels.
The Bank of Mongolia has welcomed this positive development, stating that the inflation rate has now fallen to a single-digit number, aligning with the target inflation rate set by the central bank. Notably, inflation has surged to 16.9% in June 2022, but strict monetary policies and a constant interest rate of 13% have contributed to this significant reduction to 9%. The Bank of Mongolia has announced its commitment to maintaining inflation at a single-digit level as the primary focus of its monetary policy in 2024. Inflation, which measures the rate at which prices for consumer goods and services increase, plays a pivotal role in shaping fiscal and monetary policies, and Mongolia's recent success in taming inflation indicates a positive economic outlook. This steady decline in the inflation rate is expected to have a positive impact on the country's economic stability and living standards of its citizens, further contributing to the nation's economic growth and overall well-being.
You're watching News Mongolia. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. 3 murderers are among 81 foreigners recently released in Australian migrant detention centers after a landmark High Court ruling that their indefinite detention is unconstitutional, the immigration minister said on Tuesday.
In accordance with
The government had argued against the release of the foreign nationals and stateless people whom Australia doesn't want to resettle and other countries are reluctant to accept. Opposition lawmakers called them hardcore criminals and accused the government of endangering the public by releasing them. Immigration Minister Andrew Giles said the released foreigners included 3 murderers and several sex offenders. Questioned about their offences, Minister of Immigration offered to give Deputy Opposition Leader Susan Ley a breakdown later on how many of the 81 were convicted pedophiles and rapists. The convicted murderers include Sirul Azar Umar, a former policeman who was sentenced by a Malaysian court in 2015 to be hanged over the death of a Mongolian woman whose body was dismembered with military-grade explosives. The 50-year-old had fled to Australia before he was sentenced in absentia and had been held in detention for 9 years until the High Court decision last week. Australia cannot extradite anyone to a country where that person could face capital punishment.
I say again that the decision of the High Court, which required release, affects some very, very serious offenders, including people who have committed the offences you've described. Sex offenders, a murderer, at least one murderer. I believe there are 3 murderers. There are several sex offenders. Our concern is to maintain community safety. A critical element of that, in some cases, is having some control over where an individual lives. That will involve the expenditure, of course, of Commonwealth funds, which is important to keep communities safe.
Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neill said the people who had been released had been subjected to stringent visa conditions and some were required to report to police daily.
I just want to be absolutely clear with the Parliament here, Speaker. The Commonwealth argued against the release of these people. Right. Some of these people have committed disgusting crimes. Disgusting crimes. Some of them have hurt people who are still here in our country, and it is those victims that we care about. And I can tell the Parliament that there is one single focus and one single priority that we are using to manage the implications of the High Court's decision, and that is the community safety of the Australian citizens who elect us to this Parliament.
The High Court test case was brought by a member of Myanmar's persecuted Rohingya Muslim minority, identified in court as NZYQ, who was convicted of raping a 10-year-old boy in Sydney. The court overturned a 2004 High Court precedent set in the case of Palestinian man Ahmed al-Khattab that found stateless people could be held indefinitely in detention. The Melbourne-based Human Rights Law Centre reported last month that 127 people had been held for more than 5 years in migration detention in Australia for more than 5 years. The average period spent in detention was 709 days.
With Standing Order 43,
rescuers were digging through dirt and parts of a collapsed road tunnel Monday to reach 40 workers trapped by a landslide at the construction project in northern India. Authorities said all the construction workers are safe and have been supplied with oxygen and water.
The collapse occurred Sunday in Uttarakhand, a mountainous state dotted with Hindu temples that attracts many pilgrims and tourists. Massive construction of buildings and roadways have taken place in recent years in Uttarakhand. The trapped workers were building part of the Char-Dham all-weather road, a flagship federal government project connecting various Hindu pilgrimage sites. The number of workers trapped was confirmed Monday by Rajesh Pawar, the project manager at the Navyuk Construction Company, which is overseeing the construction of the tunnel. Rescue efforts began Sunday with authorities pumping oxygen through a pipe into the collapsed section of the tunnel to help workers breathe. The collapsed portion of the 4.5-kilometer tunnel is about 200 meters from the entrance, officials told the Press Trust of India news agency. In January, Uttarakhand state authorities moved hundreds of people to temporary shelters after a temple collapsed and cracks appeared in over 600 houses because of the sinking of land in and around Joshimat town in the region.
You're watching News Mongolia. Now let's take a look at global current affairs.
U.S. and South Korean militaries held a combined helicopter live-fire drill on Tuesday. Apache helicopters from both sides participated in Tuesday's drill in Pocheon. On the same day, defense officials from the two countries and other nations warned North Korea over its nuclear ambitions and threats, vowing an unspecified collective response to any warlike aggression by the North toward its rival. U.S. and South Korean officials have accused North Korea of providing munitions and military equipment to Russia to help boost its war in Ukraine. South Korean officials have said North Korea made rocket-propelled grenades and other weapons could have been used by Hamas during the October 7th assault on Israel, and that the North could be considering selling weapons to militant groups in the Middle East amid a deepening confrontation with the United States. A Moscow court on Tuesday fined Google once again for its repeated refusal to store the personal data of Russian residents in Russia. This is not the first time the court has fined the IT giant. In August 2023, a Russian court imposed a 3 million ruble, $32,000 fine on Google for failing to delete allegedly false information about the conflict in Ukraine. The move by a magistrate's court follows similar actions against Apple and the Wikimedia Foundation, which hosts Wikipedia.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for Mongolia and world major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you on Thursday with more news and updates. Goodbye.